Welcome everybody to our Tuesday lunch talk today. Glad to see all of you, and it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Dwaipayan Bhattacharyya. I think I did that fairly well. Our visiting scholar in the Department of Politics and Policy. He hails from the Center for Studies in Social Sciences in Calcutta, India, and he's going to be speaking to us today on paradoxes of India's democracy. Please join me in welcoming Dwaipayan.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be able to come here and present this talk. I'm a very low-tech seminarist, so I'll read out as animatedly as possible. So I'm really pleased to be able to talk about Indian democracy today. The theme of my talk, Paradoxes of Democracy in India, demands that I speak on some aspects of India's political culture that are self-contradictory in appearance, yet deeply significant in their functionalities. In fact, I will try to bring together some attributes that I argue make the substance of India's political reality meaningful. An understanding of these problems, therefore, is essential for understanding the institutions and processes of democracy in India. I have divided my talk in three main parts. In the first part, I will narrate 4 real-life incidents. Though these accounts are unrelated, if looked cursorily, a closer look reveals their internal connections. I hope, as we proceed, their interrelationships will get increasingly apparent to us. Second, I will talk about 3 defining dimensions, consisting of historical, sociological, and conceptual characteristics that give India's democracy its context. Third, I will discuss about 4 principal paradoxes of democracy in India, linked to the ideas and practices of secularism, of caste or identity-based politics, of the centrality of state, and of the limits of law and constitutionalism. Each of these paradoxes, I suggest, question our democratic common sense, which are derived, in the main, from various strains of liberal political theories. Let me begin with 4 recent incidents. In the end of February 2002, a riot between the Hindus and Muslims broke out in towns and villages of the western Indian state of Gujarat in retaliation to the alleged killings of 58 Hindu pilgrims in Godhra. In the first 4 days of the mayhem, close to 1,000 people, vast majority of whom were Muslims, died, and 60,000 Muslims as well as 10,000 Hindus were made homeless. The Chief Minister Narendra Modi of Gujarat, who belongs to the Hindutva majoritarian party BJP, took little action when the minority communities were attacked. According to media accounts, the police stood mute as shops were looted, houses torched, and people targeted. As recently as last week, a special investigating committee questioned Modi in response to the allegation made by the widow of a Muslim leader of the Congress party in the state that her husband had telephoned Modi and sought his help as their house was attacked by a ferocious mob. But no help was offered and the man was brutally slain. However, in the election to the state's legislature some 10 months after these riots took place, the BJP had a sweeping victory and Modi was reappointed as the chief minister. Second incident. Last month, a public rally in Uttar Pradesh, the biggest and one of the poorest Indian states. The Chief Minister Mayawati, who is the leader of the Dalits, or the untouchables, was presented with a mammoth garland strung together with 1,000-rupee notes. Estimates of how much money was around the Dalit leader's neck, Dalit means oppressed, and the untouchables are considered as historically oppressed, and therefore they are called Dalits. Estimates of how much money was around the Dalit leader's neck as she stood on the dais ranged from $500,000 to $1 million. When the press came out heavily on such flagrant demonstration of ill-gotten wealth in one of the poorest states, her supporters gave her even a bigger garland the next day. She claimed that the upper caste press was malicious and got it completely wrong. The money was actually a collection from the millions of her supporters. Third incident. In the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, a demand for the formation of a separate state, Telangana, has gained grounds for decades. In 2009, when the leader of the separatist movement went on fast, his supporters, mostly students, burned buses and cars, destroyed property, and fought brick battles with the police on the streets of Hyderabad, the capital of the state. In December, the central government conceded to the demand for Telangana in principle and instituted a committee to look after the process. The ruling Congress party, as a result, got vertically split in the state. What's really striking, according to the New York Times, 31st March, more than 200 people, mostly young and educated, have already committed suicide in demand for Telangana, which would be 29th state in the Indian Union. Sai Kumar Migada, reports the newspaper, a 20-year-old chemical engineering student at a prestigious university in Hyderabad, came home from breakfast one morning. In early March, slipped a length of clothesline around his neck, tied it to the ceiling fan in his dorm room, and hanged himself. Quote, "For the people of Telangana, this is my final salute," said a note he left. "My final and last request is to take my body to the Legislative Assembly. Goodbye." While this indeed has a tragic touch to it, the next story is bizarre, if not revolting. Manoj and Babli, a man and a woman in their 20s, were in love. In April 2007, they decided to get married, though such marriages were prohibited by the caste strictures in their village in Haryana, the state adjacent to New Delhi, India's capital. To escape the wrath of the caste panchayat, or as they are called Khap Panchayat, or the assembly of the caste headmen, they fled the village and solemnized their marriage in a temple. When the villagers lodged a formal complaint against Manoj, alleging that he had kidnapped Babli and put pressure on his family to get him back to the village, the couple appeared before a court in June 2007 and declared that they were husband and wife. The court asked the police to give them protection. On the same day, as they were returning from the court, the couple was dragged out of the bus they were traveling, apparently in connivance with the police, bundled into a car, brought back to the village, and mercilessly beaten to death in public view by Babli's brother and close relations. Their bodies were dumped in a canal to be recovered by the police days later. It's only last week that the Karnal High Court, Karnal is the place of the name, High Court, gave its verdict, convicting 6 for killing the couple. To connect to these incidents and understand them better, we now need to focus on the distinctive historical, sociological, and conceptual dimensions of India's democracy. Historically, the relationship between democracy and development in the Western European countries had been symmetric, that is, industrialization, capitalism, and the advent of modernity happened more or less coeval to the expansion of popular enfranchisement or democratic rights, the classical cases being France and England, or sequential. Economic development took place under an authoritarian political regime